You're listening to the Late Night Football Show with your host, Rohit Singh. That's me. On this show, we talk about some of the most seriously silly topics from the world of football for your entertainment and enjoyment. Please remember that the show is BYOL. Bring your own laughs, since we don't have the budget for a studio audience. Happy listening.
Hello everyone and welcome to Late Night Football. Two brilliant games today that we're actually going to review, and I think if we can talk about the last few games being the games where you look at it and you say that's how you attack or that's how you defend. I think today is a game for every defender to watch and say that's not what you do, and then again that's only not what you do. I think that's what I think. But we've got two great people today with us to analyze the games. We've got Shashi. Shashi, welcome to the show. First time.
Thank you.
Manchester United fan. He's smiling. And we also got Angad, a Chelsea fan. Also first time here on the show. Welcome, Angad.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you, and we've got so much to get into. So let's start with the first game. Let's start with with Brighton, Manchester United. I tell you what, this is a different vibe to this show compared to what we had last time. I don't know if you guys watched the United reaction show. It's totally different. We weren't smiling, but today we are kind of smiling. Sashi, what were your thoughts on the game overall?
First half was quite forgetful, to be honest. It was the same team from the last weekend. There was no intensity, and seeing the team felt as if they are relying on the other player to do something. And when, like for instance, Bruno was trying to find Wan-Bissaka and Rashford at times, but there was no sync between them. Pass was going one way, the run was going the other way. So first half was quite forgetful. The goal that we scored, was Brighton scored for us. We did not deserve, to be honest. But yeah, probably going level at halftime gave the guys a bit boost, and that we saw when we came out in the second half. The intensity was there, the willingness to attack was there, and it showed in the end. But that unfortunate penalty just pegged us back. But just when you thought, probably for the first time in Premier League or any football since VAR has come, your full-time whistle has gone, and then the decision has been reversed. The players come back onto the field, take the penalty, and just lucky to get the win.
Lucky to it was interesting. And you saw Chelsea against Brighton. You saw that game. Were you surprised with the amount of chances that Brighton created? I mean, they had like 5 shots on the post. They scored 2 goals, and were you surprised with that at all? Are you surprised just to know that they created so many chances?
To be honest, I think for United they've had a rusty start. They've had a long season, last season. So I think it was kind of expected that when they would come into the new season, they would struggle. That was a given. The first couple of games, definitely they would struggle. I mean, you could see, they were even struggling to go forward. So I'm not really that surprised. I mean, all these teams, Spurs, United, Chelsea, they're all going to take time to kick in. The season, there's not been any preseason for them. So I'm not really surprised. And these teams have had a very long season, And on the other hand, if you see Brighton, Palace, so all these other teams, they've not had that big season really. So they've had that time to adjust and recover, really.
For sure.
So
yeah, definitely. Let's talk about the game itself. And first off, Shashi, were you surprised? I was surprised to see Victor Lindelof start. I kind of expected Paul Pogba to start, but most people didn't expect. Were you surprised to see Lindelof and Pogba starting?
In a way, if you only talk about Bailly and Maguire's partnership all through the week, it gave you a hint that Bailly and Maguire were destined to start. But then again, it's Eric Bailly. He has played a game in a week. So asking him to play twice in space of 3-4 days is asking a lot of his fitness. And
asking
maybe
play 1 game a week is a big thing.
Yeah, and also Lindelof was under immense fire throughout the week from the fans and the experts. So probably Ole just gave him an arm around the shoulder and said, "Look, I got you. You are playing, and just get your confidence back." Because in the longer scheme of things, having Lindelof fit, confident is key if you are not adding any central defender in the season. So you need a confident Lindelof going into the season, because we are playing Champions League, and probably in Europe, Ole might chop and change with the 3-man defense that we saw in the last 5 minutes of the game today itself. So you need a confident Lindelof in your side. So this was just a way to say to Bai, you played a game, take a rest. Let me get Lindelof's confidence back, and then we'll see in the next game how it goes.
First goal. I know one person who would be smiling when that first goal, and that was a penalty. That was Adarsh. He predicted that there would be one penalty in this game. He actually got it wrong. We had two, but the first one, was it a penalty, Shashi, for you?
It was clear penalty. Yeah, there was a collision. Yeah, Bruno was on the other side of the things this time, not getting a penalty, rather giving it away. So you can say the curse of 2020 has finally struck on him as well, giving away a penalty rather than winning one. But yeah, it was a clear pen, and the way he took it, he sent the other wrong way, and then Peneka and just 1-0.
Yeah.
Brighton deserved that lead.
Yeah,
to
for
be
sure.
very
Normally we analyze a lot of the, try to analyze every goal. There's so many goals. I don't think we can get to each one, and they all pretty much seem fairly straightforward. It was a lot of bad defending. I think
Yeah.
it was consistent on all the goals. It was the Brighton ones, the United ones. There was a lot of bad defending. Angad, we'll talk about this because it's not the goals, but 5 shots on the post, right, for Brighton. Now,
Yeah.
granted,
Yeah.
it's a bit exaggerated because some of them they probably had them covered if they were a bit in or out. So, but still.
Yeah.
50-50. Couple of
Yeah, I
shots.
mean-
I don't think he had
No,
it
not
covered.
all of them. There was a couple that he was flat-footed, especially in the second half. I think the first half there were 1 or 2 that if it was in, he probably would have saved it. I don't know.
True.
There's the hair. We don't know. He might just even pushed it into the net. But Angad, was it bad luck or was it bad shooting? When you see a team having 5 shots on the post, do you call it bad luck, or at what point do you call it bad shooting?
It's 50-50. It's like on your day they'll go in. When it's not your day, it's just going to go out. So sometimes it could be maybe bad shooting to a bit, because obviously that's what they practice. They always practice in the training ground. So, but I would say it's down to luck. I mean, those kind of things, those moments which happen on the field, you cannot replicate that on the training ground, really. On the training ground you have that kind of time and space to shoot and practice, but these kind of shots, they're on the spur of the moment. So it's a 50-50 for me, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's something for Graham Potter to work on, because you don't get 5 chances in a game like that against Man United, even if they suck at the moment. But still, Sashi, let's talk about the final moments, and we'll start with Brighton's equalizing goal. I don't know. What did you think of the defending for that goal from Manchester United point of view?
To be honest, we should not be surprised seeing them defend like this. We are kind of habituated seeing them making one defensive error per game, which eventually leads it to the goal. So that is not, you can say, a surprising moment these days. You rather wait for it when it happens. When the opponent team goes wide and they're trying to cross it out, you don't know. Some Lindelof might stick it back of the net. Maguire might miss it. If Brandon Williams is playing, he might not. He might lose his man altogether. So we see that shambolic defending week in, week out, and probably we have to get habituated to it unless we sign some powerful central defenders this window.
That's not going to happen this window. That's not going to happen this window. No defenders coming this window. But interesting as well, because you've got 5 defenders, so you would assume that somebody is going to go out to meet the cross, and then somebody will be at the back post. Because it goes right to the other wing back. So you expect one wing back to stop the cross, or the other wing back should clear it.
There were 2 errors in that goal. First of all, I think I personally do not want to be harsh on Maguire, because I think he gets a lot of stick in the social media and from the experts because of the price tag that United paid for him. But he could have got his head on the ball. I think I don't think that was a very bad distance. Let's say he could have headed the ball, but then Eric Bailly being Eric Bailly, he does not do things simplicity. So he had to do that Rabona kick and try to take the head of his men.
Would that have been a penalty? Because he pretty much kicked the head off of the attacker.
Had Bailly been successful, I think the ball would have cleared the penalty area and he would have got away with it. I think so.
No, but because he missed the ball, so he hit the. I thought that would probably have been a penalty if it was not a goal, because he hit the person's head, the player's head. Anyway, that's Bailly. It
just landed kindly for the Brighton player, and we gave away goal so late. And normally you would say that heads were down. We kind of tried to attack, and then the last minute instance,
Yeah,
probably we can just start discussing it now.
yeah. Let's talk about that because I was actually upset at Rashford because he had that before the corner. He actually had a simple pass to play to Van
And
Dijk,
yeah,
and I was
yeah,
like, "That's an easy pass," and he overhit it.
yeah, yeah.
Was the ball out of play? Was it a corner? Was it a corner?
It
Because
was a
some people are
corner.
saying
It was corner.
was fine.
He had kept it in. He had
It
kept it
kept it
in.
in, right? I didn't
Yeah.
see that on the replay, so yeah, that's okay. So we know here that that it was a corner. I, okay, was it a let's start with this one first. Was it a penalty for you?
12 months ago, no. But since the rules have been shoved down our throats so much in the last few months, that if you are a defender and if the attacker has hit you, no matter the distance, it could be 1 inch. If he is trying a shot and you have got your hands there, accidentally or not, the rules are clear. Like people like to say, rules are clear. If it hits your hand, it's a penalty. And we have seen what 4 or 5 incidents in the first 3 weekends now. So yeah, if the earlier incidents were a penalty, this was also because the rules say so.
Yeah, and that was this tactically naive as well to have a striker? You know, because yeah, the guy Mop is a striker. You're having a striker charge out to a defender. Was that just like tactically naive, or was that just wrong person in the wrong place, wrong time kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's the wrong person at the wrong place kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and okay. So here's the thing. So some people are saying that there was two extra minutes added. Whatever stoppage time is always a point of controversy.
Yeah.
But the penalty it was
Just tell
good.
them it's the minimum time added, not the final time. It's the minimum
Yeah,
time added.
because
Yeah.
what I was thinking was as I saw Donny walk off, I was like, he's taking a very long time. Martial's taking a very long time. He's got to add an extra minute. It worked out to
Yeah,
United's favor. I was like, he's just
yeah,
adding an extra minute to it because he walked
yeah.
out in stoppage time. So you got 96 minutes, and then I put this that once you score a goal, you get another 30 seconds. So you got 96 and a half minutes minimum. The corner conceded was in the 96 something, and it was 28, 29 something. So then you've got to play the corner at that point because you got to wait. So you play the corner, and then you get that decision. So then that's how it goes. But obviously, people, troll, whatever, fans want to banter. I get it. It's banter. But okay, penalty. What do you think of that? It was very cool, right? I mean, Bruno taking it. It's interesting with Bruno because
Yeah, he
people
is
say
not.
he's a penalty merchant, but guess what? He takes them well. I mean, whatever you say, he takes penalties well.
He converts them. It's not easy. Try telling those people and going up against a Premier League goalkeeper and take a penalty. Half of them would even they'll be shaking in their pants. So Bruno has converted 18 of his last professional penalties. It's not a small thing to achieve. Yeah, and with Bruno, there's that kind of assurance that if he's on the spot, he would convert. Just like we are shaking when the opponents attack with our central defender, with Bruno, that the calmness is there. He'll convert. Eventually, he did, and lucky 3 points. But yeah, good to be finally on the board.
For sure, yeah, and we'll talk about individual players now. Let's talk about Bruno because we're talking about Bruno, so let's just continue on that. I didn't think he had a good game. I thought he was
Yeah.
pretty bad in the first half and wasn't that great in the second either. Some people said he was at fault for both the goals that were conceded. I don't know, second one maybe, first one for sure. But they were saying that he was the one who was supposed to mark March. I don't know. But nonetheless, but still, he produces an assist and a goal.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's
And a very good assist. That pass for Rashford's goal was brilliant.
yeah, and
He's
as well
not.
as it was his free kick that led to the first goal as well. So he had a hand in all three goals, and that's kind of what Bruno is, isn't he? He's not, even if he doesn't produce 8 or 9 out of 10 performances, he gives you that, doesn't he?
He does the job. Eventually, when the moment is required, he steps up and he does the job for you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, probably this is down to the new season starting. He'll take time to warm up because, like Angad rightly mentioned, we had a pretty long season, and he was coming from Sporting Lisbon. Midway, he had a drastically change into the campaign, then went all the way to Europa League semi-final and all of that. So yeah, he'll take time. If he is delivering the results when he's not in form, watch out when he's eventually warmed up and ready to deliver.
Yeah, and burning penalties every week. That's the
Uh,
no, you gotta say it. Everybody says it, so we say it as well. We own it. No, I think that's the thing. We own Bruno's penalties. But who was worse? Was it Van Bissaka or was it Pogba? for you? I can't make up my mind on either one of them. Who was
I
worse for
think
you?
Pogba had a very bad game,
Okay.
and Pogba had a bad game. Yeah, if you recall the game, the first touch that he had, he tried to do that spin that he does, and he failed. And you could see that that kind of led on through all the 60 minutes that he played. He had a bad game. His passes did not come off. Even those trademark Pogba passes over the defense for Rashford, they did not come off. Wan-Bissaka, he was dragged out of position at least 3-4 times, which March should have scored at least twice from that spot. If you recall, Wan-Bissaka was in the central defensive position, not man marking March. Greenwood had to come over and give him the defensive support. Had it not been for Greenwood, we would have considered at least one more goal from the right hand side. But if you're comparing between Wan-Bissaka and Pogba, I think Pogba had a much poorer game than Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it just seems like Angad. I mean, I feel that the position that he's playing now is where I think if he's going to make anything in Manchester United, that is where he needs to play. But a lot of people are divided on this. Do you think he's playing in the best position that he can play, or do you think he should be playing further forward?
I think he's in his right position. If I'm correct, that's the same position he plays for France, right?
Yeah, he plays right now. He's playing as a right-sided holding midfielder, like in a 4-2-3-1. He plays on the right side. And with France, they generally play 4-4-2. As far as I know, they generally play 4-4-2. So he's playing as one of the two midfield two.
He's a floater. He has much more what you can say license to roam forward.
Because their fourth. Because their fourth the winger, one of their wingers is basically a defensive midfielder. That's kind of how they play.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So. I mean, I don't feel he can play, but I mean, it's But what do you think? You think that's
the thing is? I think when he's playing for France, he has a Kante next to him, which then gives him that license to go ahead. Whereas I think in this 4-2-3-1 system, he's kind of rigid in his play. That's what I think. Because for him, I think if you play Pogba in a 4-3-3, I think that's if he plays in the middle and he gets that license to go around, similar to how maybe Kai Havertz plays, in a similar way, in a number 10 maybe. I think he'll be more effective because you can see he's got everything in the book. He's got his shooting, passing, he's got the vision, he's got the tricks, he's got everything. But if you don't utilize him correctly, he's going to be a hit or a miss, really. So I think where he's playing now, he's kind of stuck in that position. So he's not going, maybe the instructions are not clear, or maybe I think they're not getting the best out of it, personally. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt they're not getting the best out of him, because I hope that's not the best that you can get out of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny, and I think if we could do a whole video on Paul Pogba, and maybe we will at some point. But we'll talk about Angad. Who do you think was the key performer for Manchester United today? Was it Neil Maupay or was it the crossbar? Which one?
I would say Bruno, because he's just got that magic, in him. Like, I'm going to be there and I'm going to score the penalty. We're going to win the game for United, and that's all good. So yeah, I'll go for.
People are not even saying score a goal; they're saying score a penalty. They're so sure that if Bruno has scored, it's a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw my phone and I got the notification, like literally, I was like, Bruno Fernandes has scored, and I was like, oh, this has to be a penalty.
Has to be a penalty. Yeah.
and I opened my phone; it was a penalty. So yeah, no surprises there.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he doesn't get himself into many goal-scoring positions. I think these days. I think he's more of a creative player. Like, he'll get.
He's more of a creative player.
Yeah, he's not. He is a goal. He can score long-range goals, but I think there's been some kind of indication from Solskjaer that this is not the Portuguese league where you can take long ranges, to try to less focus more on taking.
But also he does not have that kind of liberty like he had in Portugal. People in Premier League close you down so much. Yeah. You do not have that luxury of having 2-3 seconds at the ball, looking at the goal and then aiming for a shot. In Premier League, in 2 seconds you'll be like this, and you have to find a pass rather than go for shot all the time.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of them were deflections or goalkeepers, and obviously the standards of goalkeeping are much higher. At least in 19 of the 20 teams. Sure. Who that 20 team is, just not a good goalkeeper. But okay, so Angad's going with Bruno. Shashi, man of the match for you.
Oof, tough call. I think I'll go for a different choice. I'll go for Luke Shaw. He keeps us going through that left wing. He keeps going for the entire 90 minutes. And when you see the that stark difference when he is in the playing 11 and when he's not. So I would say Rashford is. We compared Wan-Bissaka and Pogba. I think Rashford, barring the goal, had pretty little to do in today's game as well.
Well, he did have
So
a
I don't
goal
know.
disallowed plus
I
an
don't know
assist. So
what bug has got into him where he tries to be the playmaker from a left wing position. If you're a left winger, probably your primary aim is to take on your fullback, beat him to death, and set up your other attacking players or the players who are making run from the edge of the box. But he is so reluctant to just seeing the ball from the halfway line and trying to feed the ball up above the defensive lines.
yeah, I
So
wonder to see if it's the injury, because if you're not trying to run past players, that is more chance for tackle, and that's I think he's just scared of his injury. He doesn't want to get tackled. I think that's what it is, because even against Sevilla, he did that run, and he got tackled for the penalty, and after that, I didn't see
that
him
is
make any.
the only explanation we can
Yeah, I
see.
think
Yeah,
that's
but
he's just a little bit at the moment hesitant to make those runs because he's afraid that people are going to tackle him. So maybe that's why he's trying to be more. He's trying to pass it to try to get 1-2s. I mean, I don't know, but you know what? He's got 2 goals in 2 games, so maybe there is something there. Maybe he's doing. He has
let's see.
these
Let's hope
bursts
for
that
the
he
best.
holds on to. So
Yeah.
as long as he's all
So
right, but, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
coming back to that man of the match thing, for me it was Luke Shaw. He kept us going
Yeah, that's a
from
very
that left
unorthodox
wing.
choice. I'll say that, but yes.
Yeah.
Well, you guys won't say it, so I'll say it. I think the crossbar was the man of the match or person of the match. Crossbars can be gender neutral, so yes, the person of the match for me was the crossbar because no, without that we don't win. It was like 2 or 3 one-on-ones. That okay, no. All right, okay. So we'll talk about the second game now. We'll talk about actually the third game of the day. We'll talk about Chelsea against West Brom. West Brom against Chelsea. I thought, this is, we're going to talk about one of the greatest matches, 3-2. We talked about Leeds 4-3. I thought this United Brighton game was like the reverse thing, where you talk about great attacking football, Leeds with Liverpool, and then you talk about United versus Brighton being like the worst of defensive football. And then, you see Chelsea against West Brom. Suddenly, it's like, okay, 3-0. All right. It was a game of 2 halves, Angad. Let's start with the first half. What went wrong?
I think from the get-go, Chelsea were not on it. I think they were a bit sloppy. I think they've gone ahead being very overconfident in this game. That's what I thought personally. They were trying to be more flashy. But I think they were definitely missing intent. I mean, yeah, there's been individual errors, defensive errors, which has been the trend for a very long time for Chelsea now. I mean, if you see last season, you had individual errors from Rudiger, from Zuma. Again, today is the same thing. Like, first goal, Alonso just heads it in the path of the West Brom attacker. He crosses, and then it's a shot. I think Caballero could have done better in the for the first goal, but it is what it is. But the second one from Thiago Silva, of all the people, it's his debut. He's your captain straight away, and it's like that's what I mean by they were a bit naive to begin with. I think if you see the second half, like you said, it's a game of 2 halves. The second half, the way Chelsea came out, that intent, that is what was needed from the first minute. And I think Chelsea. If they've been a bit lucky to get away with the point there. I think they were lucky.
Yeah, we'll talk about the second half. But Shashi, do you think on that second goal, Thiago Silva realized that now he's in the Premier League and not Liga? Like, he was like, just it's like, okay, well, I can just I can just play a pass now, but I can't because it's the Premier League. It was a baptism by fire in some ways, wasn't it? Because he felt a bit casual in that move.
Harsh way to learn that Premier League is not like your French league where you get easy passes week in, week out. So
Absolutely.
probably he got that lesson early on, and Chelsea fans will be hoping that from the next weekend out, he'll be much more aware of what to expect and what is around him. So yeah, I think he'll get better. Barring I think it was debut today for Chelsea, official debut.
I think
he played in the
Premier League debut. Yeah, Premier League debut. So yeah, he'll get better.
Yeah, no, I mean he's quite experienced and quite trophy laden player. So yeah, we expect that. The 3 goals that Chelsea conceded in the first half, and it's speechless to think because this is what I read on the match by match. It's like Chelsea have dominated the game, but they've conceded 3 goals. Talk about the third goal because I thought that was interesting. What what was Reece James thinking on that goal?
I have no clue. I mean, he's played him on side. You can see everybody has they're a bit ahead of him, and he's played like three players on side. So, but again, I mean, credit to West Ham for that goal. Sorry, West Brom for that goal, because it's a well worked move. You can tell. It's a well worked move. So maybe Reece was a bit naive, and he's played them on side, but it's okay. I mean, I would say I would give that goal to them because it's a well worked move. The first and the second goal, definitely not. I mean, the second goal is obviously a gift, but the first one, again, is, you're talking about defensive errors, and you're talking about blatant defensive errors, like individual mistakes. At this level in the Premier League, you can never get away with that. You can never get away with that. So,
sure. Shashi, who do you think impressed you more? Was it Callum Robinson or Mateus Pereira in the first half? Let's say.
Pereira. He had the game well thought out, and every pass of his was finding the right man. And I don't know if you saw one of his flicks in the second half, where he was on the, I think, left wing touchline. The ball came, and he was like this. He flicked it, and West Brom almost got in, and they scored their fourth goal.
yeah.
So for me, Pereira was too good today.
That's amazing player that we've heard a lot about. He's a FIFA legend. I don't know if you guys ever played. Like, if you see him, like, he's like this unassuming player, and then suddenly a few years later on career mode, you find like he's like an 80, 85, 86 or something like that level. Like, where did that guy come from? Let's talk about second half. And Angad, you talked about intent. How much of that had to do with Azpilicueta coming on? Because that was one of the two changes, right? Azpilicueta and Callum Hudson-Odoi coming on. How much did those changes, do you think, make an impact on that intent that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think in the second half, Frank got it right. I would say, because he's taken off Alonso. He's slow. I've always said this. Alonso will always struggle in a back four. He's always going to struggle. You could see in the first game when Lamptey was literally running past him every time. Even today, it's the same thing that happened. So I think he got that right by giving Azpilicueta on the left side, because he's more assured. He knows if he's going forward, how much should he go forward? Should he really commit that much, or can he track back? So he can balance that left side. But I think what happened was in the first half, Chelsea were very one-dimensional. They were always going from the right channel, giving it to Reece James. He's crossing in, and there was no end product to it. So
yeah.
I think in the first half, that's where they got the tactics wrong. I think Frank got it wrong in the first half, because there was no play around. You see the second goal which Callum scored. That's the kind of thing you want Chelsea to play. That's what's expected from them. In the quick 1-2, that's what you want. Not just give it to Reece and then he's crossing the ball every day, and there's no end product whatsoever. It was just blind crossing. So I think the changes which Frank made, and especially when Callum went on the left side, you see Werner started drifting towards the right after that. I think that made a big difference as well. Because for Callum, that's his stronger position. When he plays on the left, so he can cut in, or he can he can shoot, he can play a quick 1-2. That's his strength. So I think that goal is going to give him confidence. That's what I'm happy for. Really.
Yeah. And speaking of Callum's goal, we're talking about the second goal. Let's talk about a couple of the last two goals of the game. Let's talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi's goal. Well worked, I think.
Yeah.
It was a nice little 1-2 between him and Havertz. Really well done. Yeah. Is that something to build on for both of these guys? Like, should Frank invest in a Hudson-Odoi Havertz partnership, giving them more time? Do you think Callum Hudson-Odoi should be starting more games now with Havertz?
It's difficult. I mean, if you see the guys who are going to come in to the squad, you've got Pulisic, who's got the number 10 now this year, and then you've got Hakim Ziyech. It's going to be extremely hard to displace these two people, because you've seen what Pulisic can do. A fit Pulisic is literally on fire. I mean, last season it was just him and Giroud who's really kept Chelsea in the hunt for the top four, because otherwise there was no chance. And with Ziyech, he is quality. I mean, you saw glimpses of that in the first game that they played against, I think, Brighton.
Yeah.
So you could see that ball that he gave. That's what's expected. He can play a lot deeper, so he doesn't literally need to hug the flank. He can play a bit deeper. But those diagonal crosses that he gives, yeah, amazing. So I think for Callum to break into this team now is his chance. Obviously, with both of these guys being injured, and I think Frank's spoken about it, that he's not seeing that kind of commitment from Callum in training. I think that's what the whispers are, and that's what he said even in his press conferences. So I think he needs to grab his opportunity. I mean, Chelsea have let Willian go this year. That's keeping a lot of faith in Callum because they've not signed another winger.
Well, aside from Ziyech, but
so yeah, of course. I mean, if you leave, it's just Pulisic and Hakim Ziyech, and then there's no third winger that Chelsea has, except for of course Callum. So he knows he's going to get his chance, but he needs to grab it now. But I think now maybe yes, Frank can go ahead with Callum playing on the left or on the right, whichever he's comfortable playing it, or maybe they can swap sides. But once Pulisic and Ziyech are in, it's going to be extremely difficult. He'll get his minutes. He's going to get his minutes in the cup games. But apart from that, I think he'll find it difficult to break into this side.
Well, and if he does break into the team, that's good because then you've got 3 top quality wingers, right? So
yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
It is also down to the player, I think, whether Hudson-Odoi wants to be that third man or the third option behind Pulisic and Ziyech.
Well, I hope not.
So
I hope he doesn't want to be, and that he wants to push and become, top.
Yeah.
That's kind of right. That's what you want. You want competition in the team, right? Let's
Absolutely.
talk about the third goal, and because it's controversial, I'll ask you, Shashi. Do you think VAR should have overturned that goal?
No, it's fine. It's fine. The fine margins we're talking about is fine, and I think on the balance of it, Chelsea probably deserve that equalizer. Nothing more than that.
There was talk of handball in the build-up. Was that I don't know. There was talk about handball
from Havertz.
Yeah.
But then again, rules are different for defenders and attackers. So rules are rules.
Well, if it's a handball in attack, the play goes there immediately, whether it's intentional or not, right? That's I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, I think we've seen a couple of the controversial decisions today with VAR. So, but Angad,
the goal was coming. The goal was coming. I mean, Chelsea were battering West Brom for the best part of last 10-12 minutes. And you could even see that they had, I think, a minute spare after they got the equalizer.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, theme of this conversation is going to be same, losing, and then just grabbing all 3 points by literally in the last minute.
Yeah. Well,
thankfully, that was just an equalizer.
Not every team can do that. Kidding. But Angad, what did you feel on that third goal? What was your just walk us through as a fan. Like, what were you thinking on that? Like in the build-up to that third goal.
It's like I had this gut feeling it was coming. Like Shashi said, it was. Chelsea weren't all over them. There was attack after attack, and you could see that they really wanted this, and it's going to do them some real good. Losing 3 points is obviously it's going to be devastating, but to come back 3 goals, walk away with a point, I think they'll take a lot of positives from this game.
Especially at the start of the game, if we say 3-3 Chelsea West Brom, would you say it was without knowing the context of the game? Would you say it was a point gained or 2 points dropped?
2 points dropped. 2 points dropped.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But do you change that assessment now? Seeing them come back from 3-0 to 3-3, does it feel? I mean, it is one of those draws that feels like a win, doesn't it? But
if you're trailing by like 3 goals at halftime, and if you make a comeback, it's obviously a point gain, no matter which team you were up against. So yeah, they did well to recover the point. But then again, with Chelsea, every game they play this season, there will be that factor of making 6-7 signings. So even if the performance, I was just being, I
I've forgotten the count. Is it 7? Is it 8? I don't know.
I was being kind on Angad.
I don't know. I don't even remember how many it is. I think it's 7 now. I don't know. Maybe
8 signings, I think.
Maybe if you count Mendy in now, I think it's 8 now. Yeah.
Let's do a count. So we got Ziyech, we got Havertz, we got Werner, we got Sarr. Sarr, that's 4. We got Silva.
Ben Chilwell.
Chilwell is 6. Mendy is 7.
Mendy 7.
And we got an 8.
Silva.
So I counted Silva already.
And then that Javier Muyamba, that defender.
Is he?
Okay, he's counting 8. So it's 8.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, again.
FA
No,
Cup.
that Muyamba, is that a youth defender?
Yeah, I think he's a Barcelona defender. I think he's under
I
18.
don't think he's in
Okay,
the
we
first team.
won't
So
count
seven,
those.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
seven.
seven. So seven first team
Yeah,
signings.
That's
So
a
first team
even
player.
if
Yeah,
their performance is subpar, they'll be questioned fiercely. But then again, Frank is an English manager. Media is kind of in his
biased
side.
towards him. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
could be.
yeah.
So we'll not hear that many things being said that okay, Chelsea have made seven signings and they're not clicking. Had it been United, you would have said okay,
Out.
does
Ole
not know how
out.
to manage. Oh,
Yeah,
Ole out, yeah.
that's
Ole
it.
does
Yeah.
not know how to manage.
Yeah. No,
So
I think.
Frank will get his time. Frank will get his time to let all the stars set in into the system that he wants out. But again, even for an English manager like him, like a legend of the game for English football, if things do not turn out the way fans and experts have thought that Chelsea would be the top contender, let's say of top two and top three, then pressure will get to Chelsea. Every performance, every game that they play, they'll be scrutinized, unlike any other team.
Yeah, well, Lampard is a rare breed, and yeah, he's an English manager for a top six club. That is, I think, yeah, I can't remember the last time there was an English manager of one of the top six clubs, and I think people genuinely believe that he could be the first English manager to win the Premier League. Incredibly, no English manager has ever won the Premier League. Think about that
Oh
for a
wow.
second. Yeah, that's the weight that he carries. But under, I think one observation that I had is we look at the first half, they were 3-0 down, they come back in the second half 3-3. Is
Yeah.
is there a feeling? This is my feeling, person. I don't know if you, and I want to know if you agree with this. Is does Chelsea play better? Does Frank Lampard do better when he has to be on attack without thinking about defense, or was it just the circumstances in this game? Like, is he someone who prefers to attack and and not have to worry about defense? That's when you really see the best of him and of Chelsea. Or was it just a one-off thing? Because I thought that Chelsea played in the second half because they didn't have to think about defense. It didn't matter. 3-0
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you think? What do you make of that?
I mean, to an extent, if you see Frank, the way he sets up, I think he sets up his team to attack. He's not a pragmatic manager, so to speak. In terms of defense, I think it's a balance. It's always going to be a balance. If they can get the balance right, then of course that's your recipe for success, really. But in terms of defense, I think he's been let down at times. Individual errors like last game. Let's say the last game against Liverpool, for example. I mean, that rugby tackle from Christensen. It's ridiculous. You know, your Sunday league defenders might do that and get away with it. Not in the Premier League. Like he's lost the game for Chelsea there. You know, so for Frank, I don't think these things you cannot coach these top defenders. This has to come from instinct, and that's poor decision making from his end. And I think a lot of this, even last season, if you see, there were a lot of individual defensive errors. I mean, okay, as a team, if you're not defending well, then maybe it's down to the manager. That the manager can say, right, he's not getting the tactics right. He's not setting them up correctly in defense. Maybe you've seen a lot of the blame has been put on Kepa as well. Right? See,
Rightly so.
yes, of course, rightly so. Because you see, you can only teach that much. You can't coach a player further than that. So I think Frank has been let down by these individual errors and these things. But I think he's learning this season. I think he's already realized that, and you could see in the first half against Liverpool. That's when I saw, Chelsea were defensive. They were organized. They were defensive. They were not attacking, but they were shrewd. They said, right, let's sit back, let's wait, let's see how the game goes, and we'll hit them on the counter. We've got Timo space, so we can utilize that. And I think it was to an extent Frank got it right. Of course, the game got lost then. Today's game, of course, again boils down to individual errors. So you're doing the same thing. Uh, maybe a bit of naivety to begin with this game, because we've seen that last season as well. Um, the games against Bournemouth last season, for example. In the two games that Chelsea played Bournemouth, they picked up 1 point. And Bournemouth has been relegated. So West Ham, for example, last season, West Ham has fought relegation. They were right there, and Chelsea picked up 0 points from this in both their games. So it's like, you're going into these games, you're dropping points. You should not be doing that, especially when you want to be fighting for the top four, knowing now this season that uh, you know Liverpool are strong, City are strong, Everton are looking phenomenal. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Spurs have made good signings for a change. They are looking.
And they've been getting the results and scoring the goals. If
Yeah,
it's a matter of if with Spurs, if Bale
Spurs,
clicks,
Spurs are
yeah.
doing so good they're
exactly.
becoming a golfer. So I'm just saying.
So
No, I'm just doing some shit.
So Wolves are good this season. So you see, around the top 6, 7, there are teams that are going to give you a run for your money. So when you're playing the likes of, let's say, West Brom, you have to bury them. There's no excuse to that.
Yeah.
So it will be a long season. I think. See, the thing is, Frank might say, right, we don't have our first team squad. We've not had our best 11 yet on the field. So it would be a bit harsh, yes. But with this quality, you should be bearing West Brom.
Yeah.
There's no excuse to that.
Yeah, so we're running out of time. I do have a few quick questions to ask. So, Shashi, man of the match for you for today. Could be Chelsea, could be West Brom. Who's the man of the match?
I would say man of the match would be Havertz for me.
Havertz.
He's not had his best game, so to speak, but he was there. He was making the right runs. He's had his hand in 2 of the goals, and in third goal he had his hand as well. So
Yeah, literally. Sashi.
I think Hudson-Odoi, he kind of changed the game for Chelsea when he came into the second half. And again, I would say Azpilicueta calmed Chelsea's defense down when he was there. Like he could be one of the most reliable defenders in the last 7 to 8 seasons that we have in the Premier League. When he was there, he calmed the defense out. Him and Hudson-Odoi probably sorted the left wing, which was kind of giving Chelsea some concerns in the first half. So I think, yeah, both of them, they were my picks in the second half.
Yeah, there was a third game. We can't really dissect that, but very quickly, Everton once again winning against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Are they a contender for top four now? There's still only 3 games in, but
Too early to say. I think every season we have a team like that who just breaks into the top four, stays there for 6 games, and then they blow out of steam, and they're just like they're further behind the league. So probably I think they'll finish in the top 6. They definitely have the squad. They have the manager. Probably the most important thing, they have the manager. And with James coming in and that hunger of proving himself as a quality player again, probably he'll take them better than what their fans had expected when the season started. So yeah, top 6 for me, not top 4.
Angad, what do you think?
yeah, I'd say top 6. Yeah, top 4 is really hard. That's really pushing it too far. But I think top 6 definitely they can do it. They've got the right start. They've beaten Spurs away.
Yeah.
And Richarlison is looking good now. Calvert-Lewin's looking good. He's looking on fire. Of course, like Shashi said, James has come in and he wants to prove himself. We've got the right manager. He's a top quality manager, definitely.
Former Chelsea manager.
I've said this before. Sorry.
Former Chelsea manager.
Oh yeah. Everyone's managed Chelsea, at some point. So see, I've said this in the past that the likes of Jose and Ancelotti are past their prime. Really, I had this view, and I thought there was a reason. He's managing the likes of Everton and Jose's managing the likes of Spurs. These are managers who should be managing like the cream of the leagues, really. But I think even for Ancelotti now is his time, because I think he kind of flopped when he was at Napoli. So even for him, it's like a season for redemption, really. So he needs to prove that he's still up there. So I think top 6 would be a good achievement.
Yeah.
If they make it to top 4, I'd really be surprised. But I think they should be good enough for top 6.
Yeah, I think the X factor will be Europe and how the Champions League and the Europa Leagues play out this season, because they're going to be packed calendars. But we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. I think we've got a lot of ground. I think this was Yeah, and this was a much different vibe from the last week's reaction shows, because we really had two very good games today. But thank you so much, Angad. Thank you so much, Shashi, for joining.
Most welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
I really enjoyed having you guys on the show. It's wonderful. Guys, if you like that video, please remember to hit a like and also share with your friends, family. We appreciate that, so please do that. And if you're new, please remember to subscribe to the channel. We crossed 80 subscribers in the last video, so yay. Now you want to move on to 90, so we're greedy. So help us get to 90. Again, the small goals will help us get to 90, so please remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you so much, Angad. Thank you so much, Shashi. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, and we'll see you again soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
Okay.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to that episode of Late Night Football. We need your help to grow this channel, so if you've been enjoying the show thus far, please do like and subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends, family, colleagues, neighbors, drinking buddies, fellow football fans, and anybody else you know or don't know. We'd really appreciate it. Please also follow us on Twitter and Facebook via the links in the description below and spread the word about us. Take care.